Each of us has had situations in our lives that have greatly influenced the rest of our lives. Some situations have shaped our rational fears, while others have influenced the emergence of irrational ones. These experiences can range in scope and depth from minor to traumatic. For example, moving to another city or losing a job can cause a person great stress, while the loss of a loved one or physical abuse can leave deep scars on the psyche. Psychological traumas can affect our reactions, behaviors, and perceptions of the world, forming certain patterns that often become barriers to living a happy and fulfilling life. It is important to understand that trauma can manifest itself in different ways. Some people become withdrawn and avoid social contacts, while others, on the contrary, try to be the center of attention to dull the inner pain. Without proper attention to these experiences, a person can end up with chronic stress disorder, depression, or even post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD. Understanding the nature of these traumas and their impact on our psyche helps us better understand ourselves and our loved ones. We begin to realize that our reactions and fears are often the result of past experiences, rather than objective reality. This realization opens the door to healing and change. When we realize that our reactions are conditioned by the past, we can begin to work on changing those patterns. For example, if a person realizes that their fear of public speaking is related to humiliation in school, they can begin to gradually overcome this fear by working with a psychologist or participating in support groups. Realizing that our fears and anxieties may be irrational gives us the opportunity to reframe them and find ways to overcome them. Different forms of experience and trauma. Some stories have become our experiences, while others have become traumas. Some events were the reason for the formation of positive attitudes. Others contributed to the formation of negative attitudes. Any event from the past has had a definite impact on our present and future. For example, success in school or sports can build confidence in our abilities, while failure or criticism can lead to low self-esteem. Positive events can inspire and motivate new achievements, while negative events can cause fear of trying again. Very often these experiences instill in us certain attitudes. I am a failure. I am not given to be successful, or on the contrary, I am capable of everything. These attitudes, in turn, influence our future choices and actions. It is important to realize that even the most painful experiences can be a source of strength and growth if we learn to work with them and learn from them. Past experiences help us become more resilient and mature individuals. It teaches us to be more attentive to ourselves and others, to make better decisions, and to avoid repeating past mistakes. For example, a person who has gone through a difficult divorce can learn to better understand their needs and boundaries, so that they can be a more aware and caring partner in future relationships. It is also important to remember that dealing with the past is a long-term process that requires patience and support. Reevaluating the past. Looking back, sometimes you think that in that situation you could have done things differently, better, had time to do more, walked farther, and run faster. But at that moment it seemed that it was the only right decision, and that there was no other way, and you acted from your resources available at that moment. And now you try to evaluate the situation based on the current state of affairs. So should you blame yourself for the past, if at that moment you chose the right path? And if you only had the resources for that path? Often we tend to idealize the past or conversely demonize it, forgetting that we had our own reasons for acting that way at the time. Often the guilt of past mistakes becomes a heavy burden that prevents us from moving forward. Accepting your decisions as the only ones possible under the circumstances is an important step toward healing. We can't change the past, but we can change our attitude toward it and use it as an experience for personal growth and development. Instead of blaming ourselves, we can ask ourselves, what can I learn from this experience? This approach not only helps to deal with guilt, but also helps to turn negative experiences into valuable lessons. For example, a person who once made a bad decision at work can learn to better analyze the situation and not jump to conclusions in the future. Fears and attitudes. We act on the basis of our experience, knowledge. Often fears and attitudes. Fears and attitudes are often a kind of conclusion after a situation. Let's try to understand them with concrete examples. Imagine that you have been bitten by a dog. Up to this point, you have not actively interacted with dogs, but you have never been bitten. After this incident, you become afraid of all dogs. big or small, on a leash or off leash. You may even think that all dogs are vicious and ready to bite the first person you see. And so, at the sight of any dog, your anxiety increases or panic sets in. You try to avoid places where you can meet a large number of dogs. This fear becomes a part of your life, limiting your freedom and opportunities. You may one day be cured by another dog who is kind and affectionate, and you will realize that not all dogs are evil. Realizing that our fears may be irrational and reframing them through new positive experiences is an important step to overcoming trauma. Overcoming fear takes time and patience, but every small accomplishment along the way builds confidence and helps you move forward. It is important not to avoid your fears, but to face them gradually, creating new positive associations. For example, you can start by interacting with small and friendly dogs to gradually rebuild confidence. Disappointments and positive examples. Having been disappointed once in a man, another positive example in the person of a man will heal you. Having been hurt in a relationship with a woman, another woman who is attentive, caring, and sincere will fix the situation. When a person is disappointed in something, the brain often generalizes the data and a person makes false conclusions based on single cases. And these false conclusions sometimes interfere with life. For example, after a partner cheats, a person may start to believe that all people are prone to cheating and avoid new relationships. These generalizations become a barrier that prevents building new and happy relationships. However, meeting a faithful and loving person can help change this belief. It's important not to dwell on negative experiences and allow yourself to open up to new possibilities, giving positive life changes a chance. New positive examples help to restore faith in people and the possibility of happy relationships. Of course, this takes time and effort, but each new experience can be a step towards healing. It is important to remember that each person is unique and past mistakes should not determine our future. Daily choices and conclusions. There are many situations in our lives every day in which we need to make choices and conclusions. And may your conclusions be increasingly true. Well, if you face some difficulties in your life, you can always seek help from a specialist. Constantly analyzing and rethinking your reactions and attitudes helps to develop emotional flexibility and resilience. Every day we are given the opportunity to learn and grow by making informed choices and learning from each experience. Professional help from a psychologist or psychotherapist can be very helpful in the process of realizing and overcoming internal barriers. Working with a professional allows you to gain a deeper understanding of your fears and traumas and develop strategies to overcome them. Thus, the road to healing takes time, patience, and effort, but the outcome is worth going through the process. Psychotherapy can offer different modalities of work such as cognitive behavioral therapy, art therapy, or hypnotherapy, depending on individual needs. May your conclusions be wise and your path to healing be successful. If you feel you are not coping on your own, don't be afraid to seek support. Each step on the road to healing brings you closer to a happier and more fulfilling life. It is important to remember that seeking help is not a sign of weakness, but a sign of strength and a desire to live a fuller life. Let each new day be a step towards your inner peace and harmony. Thank you for your attention. All the best and good luck on the road to healing. May your heart be filled with light and faith in the best. Every small victory on this path is a step towards your happiness and well-being.